Problem 10.4, the jaw for our three-jaw chuck. Okay, so millimeters, grams, and seconds. Parts origin located, indicated in red, so the back mid, kind of on the left. Part is symmetric, all sketches fully defined, lines, center lines, arcs, rectangles, extrude, boss, extrude cut, fillets, chamfers, revolves. Okay, so got some chamfers there, got a fillet there. That looks like it's going to a virtual sharp, so now we can kind of build in there. So the way this works is that that chuck has a rotating disc with a spiral. And as the spiral pulls these in, each of these jaws has a slight offset to match the spiral engagement. Some of them just have the squared off. The kind of rounded dovetail, that's sort of unique, but we'll go with it. And so just looking at this, I'm thinking my first go will be to draw this profile. And if that is in the top plane, yeah, so based on that isometric view, I'm thinking we're in the top plane. Z is coming towards us, and that would kind of bear that out. So let's go ahead and get into our part, and we'll see where we can take this. All right, so top plane, I'm going to go ahead and start with a center line, and we have 89 on the overall. Let's go with a midpoint line, trying to use that a little bit more. And we'll switch over to a regular line, bring it up. I'm not too worried about the angle just yet. If we do that as a fillet, I can probably leave it. And going off of that bottom view, I don't see any problems with go ahead and generating these shapes. So we had 24 on the width. We have a half angle of 30 degrees. So just make sure to get that one in there. What else of any interest do we have here? All right, the bottom is 5 millimeters off of the base, so I don't really want to cut those out, those arcs out. So let's go ahead and see what we get when we extrude. And I'm going to offset by 5 millimeters and make sure that it goes up. And then we got to double check that the blind to 62 doesn't need to be have that 5 millimeters subtracted. So top plane to the top of the part. Yeah, so it added it in. So when I go to that mix, I'll see it there. And so that one becomes 57. If I was concerned about it, I might do an offset from surface, pick the top plane, and tell it to go up the 62. Okay, so on our sketch, I'm going to hold off on those the arcs at the bottom. Let's see, I don't need tangent, but I will go center point. And we'll start to build in. Let's see, are those concentric? Yeah, I think we'll end up being concentric. So there's one, there's two. And I think if we go ahead and just overlay, could convert. All right, so that one becomes 41. And then we have a distance of 24. And then I'm just curious to see if this plays out to be, now the 24, technically, since that curvature, Let's delete that one out, and I'm going to go center line and center line because of the way that's being generated. And then, all right, so that makes sense. And I'll just leave that one driving so that I have that geometry. Okay, so the first cut, we'll just do the region. So extrude cut. Let's take that one is going to go down 16 and 16, so 32. And then we expand out, select sketch 2 again, and extrude cut. And then the second region will just be to 16. So we'll gradually whittle those away. And I'm not too worried about the undercuts and the dovetails just yet. So let's go ahead and open up a sketch on the bottom. Where is our geometry? So that kind of needs to, I'm just doing the control, the alt and the arrow to flip that around the other way. And our first radius, and I think, yeah, they're going to match the radius. So let's go with the center point arc again. And that is pulled from there to there. And we'll generate a second one. I'm just going to hit L on the keyboard. All right, and then we'll get some dimensions in here. All right, so 26. And then if they're a thickness of 3, I think this one's going to be easier just to go to 29. Because that vertical is not going to be 3 by itself, but if we were to do the center line trick again, then I should be able to see that go to 3 millimeters as my check. All right, so select the chain, and then we're going to linear pattern. It's kind of a toss-up. If we go with the x-axis of 1, and then switch to the y-axis with 6 times with a 5 millimeter spacing. All right, so, but the 5 millimeter spacing should include, well, we're probably going to have to check that, but should include the 3 millimeters for the width, so that actually gives us 8 millimeters between the instances. All right, so does that make sense? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How come I have, oh, the 6 times is given as the spacing, and we're actually ending up with, there it is, the 7 times 3 millimeters. Okay, so those get us into place. Let's go ahead and dimension. Since I already have one center line, it's not going to be that big of a deal to make another one, and make sure that we actually have 5 millimeters there. All right, so features, extrude, those are all closed. Let's go up to surface, and we'll just pick the top plane since that's kind of convenient. All right. So our geometry for the radiuses. We have a typical somewhere, radius of 5. I am kind of thinking that the blends where those where that dovetail's going to cut through might be a little bit of a nuisance. So let's go ahead and, I don't typically put the radiuses in first thing, but let's go ahead and grab, I don't think I'm going to let it select. I'll go ahead and pick the others, and then go ahead and get our geometry in place. So where that that intersects, when I go back to generate these, I'm going to end up with 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I'm going to end up with a lot more edges to have to work from. All right, so let's go with the center line. The center line here will also help me to stay focused on that, that geometry. And also, okay, make sure I get my coincident. When I zoom up on this, we're going to create our tangencies. Let's just go back to the center line. And actually, nope, I did not want that to go to the center line. Okay, so I didn't realize I did that. Let's make sure that there's a gap though. And find my edge, make sure it's coincident. Make sure that we have tangencies. Tangent. All right. And then we can, from right to left, and then when I mirror, then we can start adding dimensions. All right, so first is the 8mm opening, 35 degrees. And a radius of 2. And since it's mirrored, that's already in place. All right, so let's see. Did that grab a midpoint? No, we got midpoint, midpoint, coincident. All right, let's just go ahead and see if it made it to 6mm. Yep, so I don't think we want that midpoint. I want that one, but I don't want that one. Okay. Make sure that I don't accidentally reapply it. 6 and enter. So where is our positioning? So from the base to the angle is showing as 8mm. All right, and then don't forget to close that off so that it becomes a region. We can select the chain and find our mid-center line, mirror those entities. And since these are enclosed regions, we'll extrude cut through all. All right, so kind of strange looking, but okay, so let's go ahead and save this because it's making me a little nervous. So get into my level 10 folder, and then this is P10-4. Okay, so the next one is that we have this 90-degree V in the front, and it's going to follow across the faces. And so 45-degree, half angle, 90-degree. And so it looks like, are we given a count? 1.5 mm deep on the face, on each of the faces. So let's go ahead into the right plane. Right plane, open up the sketch, and the curvature is falling away. So let's, I'm going to go ahead and go with my preferred of any V's. Don't want the midpoint. Okay, so that kind of serves as my marker. And if that is the midpoint, that establishes symmetry. And our angle, well, since it's 90 degrees, I don't use perpendicular very often, but we'll go ahead and do perpendicular. 1.5 millimeters. And we had the depth there. So where is it positioned exactly? Is it on the mid? Well, it'd be nice if it was on the midpoint. And I still need an axis of revolution, so I don't have my my pixel counter to come up with those. So since we're not given anything else, I'm going to go with midpoint. All right, so that one looked like it popped up with a perpendicular, but it didn't end up applying it. So let's just go ahead and make those equal. Make that a midpoint. All right, so the order that we're applying these relations isn't really critical. We just need to make sure to apply them all. So equal, perpendicular, midpoint, and then the last one probably could have just done a control C. Why don't we do a control C? I'm going to get rid of that one real quick. Keep in mind that you can control C and control V, and we're going to get pretty close. We should have retained the coincident. We've got the vertical. Did it keep the, yeah, it kept the perpendicular. So all we have to do is set the depth. So that would speed it up a little bit. Now this, yeah, this particular V, because I put the radiuses in, I think I'm going to need to find my midpoints because I don't really have anything to reference off of. So we'll just pierce that. And where did that one float to? So if it already has the midpoint back to that edge, that's not really what I want. I want it to be centered on that entire face. At least I think I do. All right, so let's go midpoint. And then our original sketch, let's show that because we're going to need, let's go ahead and switch that over to a center line. And if I just make it coincident to the face. All right, so features, revolve cut, 360 degrees is fine. It's not going to run into anything. All right, control save to make sure that I'm getting this. And then we should be able to do the chamfers, which there again, if I had put the chamfers in front in first, I wouldn't have all of those. So that's kind of interesting. We'll see what that edge does as it breaks through. That one should go all the way around, so we'll pick that and go into the chamfer. And that chamfer is listed. See if I can find it in one of the corners. 5 times 3 by 45. All right, so 3 millimeters by 45. So if I propagate it across the tangent, it's going to run all the way across. And if I don't, then the top one, since I'm already in it, I'm thinking I'll just go ahead and pick those rather than starting a new chamfer to grab the other side. All right, so it's solved. What am I missing? So we get to that point. Let's go ahead and save this. All right, so my process of elimination, I think I got everything, but I've said that before. So just a quick look, I'm not seeing any missing geometry. If we go through the different views, Control 5 for the top, Control 6 for the bottom, even though it's the other way. Yep, definitely an interesting piece of geometry. So the telltale, let's go ahead and see on the mass properties, 71, 721. And I have 71, 774. So somewhere I got about an extra, what, 50 or so cubic millimeters. Well, I think I will take it. I don't see anything jumping out at me as a too difficult, and the rest of the numbers lined up for me, so I think we just go with it.